before we get into this conversation that I got to be honest with you, I'm super excited about. Some quick disclosures to get those out of the way. I lead financial planning at SoFi. And one of the things we're going to talk about careers, some financial topics. We'll get, brought into the mix. Nothing we talk about today is considered financial advice, just high level thoughts, education. So we'll kind of go from there. But really excited to kind of kick off this fireside chat, joining us. And I think probably the reason why everyone's here, I know it's certainly not for me, is to have, Rams legend, Eric Dickerson. Certainly had an incredible career. And when I got the chance to kind of do some research and get ready to have some talking points and preparing for this, some really cool things for us to talk about. So I guess, Eric, real quick, anything, you want to say to get started before we kind of hop into some questions we have going on?
No, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very honored to be here, and go Rams tonight.
Definitely. So I guess, kind of looking at it and, thinking through kind of going in chronological order a little bit, you had an incredibly successful college career, high draft pick, but there's tons of stories where that doesn't translate to success at the next level. So, I'd love to kind of get your mindset and some thoughts that you had on what helped you adopt, and really adapt to that as you entered your professional career and kind of take that jump to the next level. And then how can people apply that as they're looking to build their own careers and progress in their own lives?
Well, I'll say for as football, I was gifted. I had a God-given talent for all sports. But the thing is that I had a drive also. I always wanted to be the best. My dad, that was one of his mottos. He didn't really like football. He liked baseball. But he always said, son, all that you do with your might, things done by halves are never done right. And so I kind of always believe that if you half do anything, no matter what it is, you're not going to do it right. And, just being a player, I always wanted to be the best. In high school, college, it didn't make a difference. Whatever I did, I always wanted to be the best at it. And I feel like even, translating that into the business world or life after football, you've always got to want to be the best. It's not about, I just want to be on the team. I just want to be one of the guys. And look, everybody's not going to play professional football, professional sports. That doesn't happen. And I can honestly tell you that was not my intentions either. I had no, I said thoughts about it, but of course you got to think about it, but I never had to say, I'm going to be a pro football player. That was never, and I think that those words never came out of my mouth. It just kind of happened. And I can say from high school, it kind of happened as, being a great high school football player. And I didn't even see the talent. Someone else saw it. I won't forget, because I quit high school football at one point because of a coach. And a guy came by my house and talked to me and my mom. And my mother didn't like sports. She said, I don't like you quitting, but I'd like you to go back and maybe play, but I don't want you to quit. So, and this guy, he was big on it. He said, look, son, he says, we see something in you that we haven't seen ever in these parts. And it's funny, as a young man, you don't see things in yourself that other people see. And I was a freshman in high school, and he saw it, and he said, maybe this could get you out of this town. And sure enough, it did. It propelled me to be the number one, prospect in college football, and then be the number one. The second round. The first pick of the Rams, and then the first round, 1983. But I always say this is that if you believe in something, no matter what it is, you got to go for it. And once I started playing sports, and I didn't think about pro football till probably my senior year. And because people started saying it about me, saying it to me, I'm like, well, maybe I got a chance, because I always, thought I was good. But it really comes down to your drive. That's what it comes down to, you as a person, and how bad you want something. And I always want, the main thing I really always wanted something nice for my mom, because my dad had passed away. I just wanted her to have a nice house and a nice car, because we grew up poor. And that was my goal. That was my ambition. That was my drive.
Awesome. And I know, you mentioned kind of desire to be the best, and, you look at it on paper, and when you look at that, it looks picture perfect. But, obviously that's not reflective of it. There's a ton of challenges and things like that. I guess, hit on some of the key challenges that you faced, whether it be, on the football field or off the football field. And, how did you kind of persevere and push through those key challenges as you faced them?
Well, I'll give you my first challenge was, it started in high school. Well, it started earlier than that. And it started me playing sports and being a black kid back in the South. And I won't forget it was Little League trials. I love baseball. It was Little League trials and minor league trials. And so I wanted to go out and try out for baseball. And my mother was like, son, I want you to understand something. I think I was 11 years old. She said, it's going to be different for you than it is for those white kids. And I'm like, and I was raised by my great aunt. So she was much older. So, she had seen things a lot different because she was born in 1904. So I'm like, no, Mama, they always play the best player. She said, Eric, I'm telling you, son, it's going to be different. So anyway, I try out. And I had a great tryout. I mean, I knew I was a good athlete. I mean, I thought I was, you're kids, you don't know. I could hit the ball. I hit 3 home runs in the tryout, could run, catch. And I'll never forget, they put me on minor league. And I was so heartbroken. I mean, really heartbroken. And I'm like, okay. And my cousin made Little League. And he was a good baseball player, maybe even better than me at the time. He was a better pitcher for sure. And I went home, I told my mother, she said, son, I tried to tell you. I said, it's different for you, Eric. And some of those kids, they weren't good athletes. And I'm not, saying I'm the best athlete, but I knew I was better. To make a long story short, after 3 games, they moved me up to Little League. I was on Little League anyway, and played an all-star game, hit 2 home runs in an all-star game and all that kind of stuff. But that's my first kind of experience with things not being fair.
Certainly. And I mean, I think there's a lot of really good examples of pushing through, certainly different challenging circumstances. And I think, one of the parts that was really, really interesting for me, like pushing through the challenges, and I think a good parallel for people from a career side of things is fighting for what you're worth. And, I think we have a major initiative at SoFi called, Get That Raise, and we have career coaching, and it's a big thing that, we focus on. Obviously it wasn't easy for you to do that. How did you go about fighting for what you're worth? And what was that like, pushing through that experience as you did that?
Oh, Brian, man, that's a great question. Let me tell you something. Eric Dickerson was considered a bad guy back in in the 80s when I played. I was a bad guy, and I was things I'd never heard of. I mean, it was funny to me because I'd never heard of it. I was a malcontent. I was an ingrate. I mean, I didn't know what are those things? I didn't know what that meant. People always had this perception that I was money hungry and I was all about the money and that. But you got to understand, back in those days, it was way different. I mean, and I'm doing a book right now. And the funny thing is, the writer, he did a bunch of research, and I didn't even realize it until not long ago. And I have my contracts downstairs in a case in my closet. And he said, Eric, do you know that you were the 55th highest paid player in the league when you were running for 1,800 and 2,000 yards? I said, I knew I was lowly paid. I knew they weren't paying me right. He said, well, you were the 55th highest paid player. And, standing up for something that you believe in. I always believe this. And it wasn't always about me. I would tell guys, I said, if they keep me underpaid, they're going to keep everybody underpaid. And I love my sport. And I'm going to tell you something, man. Brian, I loved football so much. I loved everything about it. I used to love the smell of the grass. When it came football season, I could smell it outside. Probably till about 10 years ago, I don't smell it anymore. I just knew when it was that time of year. That's how much I had a love for it. And it came to a point where, I love playing for the Rams. I did. I love playing for that team. But I wasn't being treated right. And I was vocal about it to them. And back in those days, it was no social media. It was the beat writers and whatever they wrote about you, people believed. Like, oh, it's got to be true. It's in the paper. My God, they ain't gonna make it up. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, they do make it up. They're gonna say stuff that's not true. And so I had no Instagram, no Facebook. We didn't have that kind of stuff. And I was a bad guy. I was just considered a bad guy. But I knew what kind of guy I was. And I think the thing that hurt most wasn't really me. Of course, it hurts your own feelings too. But when your mom says, I hate what they say about you, son, because you're such a good, your parents always feel like, but she said, you're a good son. You're a good boy. We know how we raised you. But my mom did raise me one thing: stand up for yourself. Stand up. And I'll tell anybody that if you feel like there's something's not right, no matter if it's about skin color, I'll say this much: I'm all about fairness. I'm all about right. I don't care if I'm black and this guy's white and another black guy says, well, he's wrong, but the white guy's right. I'm going with right, and vice versa. It's not about the skin. It's about right and wrong. And I'm that person. People always know it's about me. If you don't want the truth, don't ask me. Because that's just how I was brought up. My dad always said, son, look, the truth isn't popular, but the truth is always going to be there. It's never going to change, no matter what. And it's easy to remember the truth, because if you ask me a question about a situation 10 years ago, or say 10, 20 minutes ago. If I'm lying, tell me that story again now. That story's gonna change a little bit. Oh yeah, I thought you said, oh yeah, that's right. I meant that. Yeah. So that's just how life is. But I can say for me, being on that side, being considered this bad guy. I mean, it's hurtful. I'll say this much. It was hurtful in a lot of ways, to be portrayed as a person that you're not. And deep down, the person you are. Just like I know the person I am. I know who I am. And I just thank God that eventually, and everybody doesn't know me. I mean, nobody doesn't know me, but eventually, that person came out. And it was funny when so many people after years say, man, Eric, man, you were nothing like they portrayed you. Nothing like it. I mean, it's almost sad. And the only sad part about it was how sad it made my mother. I tell people this all the time. I said, you get out and you boo these players and to make all these bad comments. I say, but imagine if that's your son, or your daughter, and someone saying, oh, your daughter, she sucks. She sucks. They don't know, but they don't know you're the parent. And all of a sudden you say, hey, that's my daughter you're talking about. That's my son you're talking about. It changes the whole view. And so no one wants to hear anything bad about their kids. So, but yeah, it was hard. Like I said, it was a hard fight back in the 80s for to stand up for what I believed. And I gotta say, eventually leaving the Rams, I got paid right. I got paid correctly. Did I want to leave? No, I did not want to leave that team. I didn't want to leave that team, but I had to do what was best for me. Because one thing about sports is football doesn't last forever. I mean, no sport does. You can't do anything forever. I mean, in that sport for sure, as brutal as it was back in those days, it was brutal. And I came out on top, but in a sense, people say, well, if you'd have stayed with the Rams, you'd had all this. I say, yeah, but I always feel like I don't have any regrets about that. I feel like that was God's doing. That was God's dealing. That's how he dealt with me. That was I was supposed to leave that team. I go to another team. And, I just told a guy yesterday, he asked me about surgery. I said, I've never had a surgery. He said, never. I said, I've never had a surgery from being injured. And I mean, I always say, well, in God's plan, I might have got hurt with the Rams. I was carrying the ball a lot. But, I'm thankful to be where I am now.
Oh, that's great. So, I mean, we're talking a little bit about finances, and I think we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. But, I think it'll be helpful as we transition there. A lot of people, they look at, professional athletes. They see the salaries in the news, and they may not appreciate the financial challenges faced by financial athletes. So I think, can you hit on that a little bit before we talk a little bit more about some financial lessons?
For sure. One thing is that, even back in those days, guys were making a lot of money. I mean, minimum wage was $30,000. And most guys, there was 2 or 3 guys on the team making money. Mostly quarterbacks or a linebacker. They were making $1 million, maybe $1.5 million, maybe. But that in the early days, they wasn't making that. And what makes it difficult is that, let's just say you're a young kid coming out of college. You're 22 years old, like I was 22 years old. And all of a sudden, let's just say you got $300,000. Let's use that now, $300,000. I mean, you don't know what to do with $300,000, and you think, and you got a salary, say you got a salary of another $300,000. We'll use that $300,000. All of a sudden, you see, you got all these other people around. You got your mother, you got your brothers, you got your sisters, you got your friends, you got Pookie, you got this guy, you got that guy. Everybody's got an idea. Man, we could do this. And of course, you want to try to take care of your mother and your family members and all that kind of stuff. And that pecks away at what you have. It really does. And I think that for young athletes, they don't know they don't know anything about finances. I didn't. I mean, you don't know about finance. I mean, you don't know anything about trying to, when they say you're gonna make $300,000, well, you don't get $300,000. Don't work like that. Are you gonna get $1 million? You don't get $1 million check. You get, well, it depends on where you live. You might get $650,000. You're like, and you look. I remember the first time I'm like, wow, what's all this stuff they're taking out? I mean, what is all this stuff? I mean, where's all this money going? I mean, and you don't realize that. And I think that is a lot of the challenges for the young athlete. Now let's go right now. These guys, some of the guys, and I mean, on a football team, it's going to be about, I'm going to say 4 guys that's going to make life-changing money on a team. Life-changing. Like you're going to make that 25, $30 million, maybe. That life-changing. The other guys are going to make $1 million here, maybe 500, 800, maybe 2 million, 2.5 million. But the big thing is about football is the life expectancy. The life expectancy is short. You know, the life expectancy of a football player is about 3.5 years. And it's pretty true to it, unless you're a superstar. Most of those guys, they don't play long. I mean, and think about it. Let's just say you're lucky enough to get $1 million a year. Okay, now you got that million for say you play 4 years. If you made $4 million in a sense, but you made less than 4 because you got a house you got to buy, and say you got kids, now you got school, you got taxes. So now that 4 million is what cut way in half. So now what am I going to do to supplement that $4 million? You know, what can I do to do? What am I going to do there? And a lot of guys, if you don't get the right people in place to help you, you have no idea. I mean, you run through it because, you know, you want to help your mom, you want to help your friend, you want to help your brother. You got these guys, you know, you got all these guys these hang-ons. You know, you're gonna have a lawsuit or two. That's gonna happen. You hope you don't have a baby or two. You know, that's another expense. You know, you got to pay lawyers. I mean, all of the things that, you know, you don't think about, but other people are watching your money. They think about it. Like, cause they want their cut. I mean, and I hate to say it like that, but a lot of them, your so-called friends, they don't have your best interest at heart, and they want a piece of you until you run out. And the first thing they say, oh, he shouldn't have been done. He was done with his money, but he gave you $100,000 in it. Well, yeah, I didn't tell him to. I mean, I didn't make him do it. You know, they got every excuse in the world, but you had your hand out. So I think the big thing is that just the not knowing. I mean, the not having the knowledge of, not getting the right people in place, not having a financial plan, a financial guide, or a lady, a woman. You know, because there's women just as good as men. I just feel like that's where the athlete, especially I can say the Black athlete, most definitely falls short. Because think about it, most of us, we ain't had no money. We're not used to having $100,000. I mean, all of a sudden now they write us a check for $5 million. Okay, $5 million, yeah, but it was 10 million or 8.5, but the rest of this was left in taxes. And you think, wow, this gonna last forever. I mean, am I gonna get another one of these? Was the thing about football. All of a sudden, when football is over, any sport is over, usually it stops like that, like hitting the wall. Boom, money stops. You just slide down the wall. Okay, now what you got is what you got left, and you know, and what do you do with it?
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think you mentioned, you know, the friends and family and things like that. And I know it's at different scales, but a lot of the members that I work with, they struggle prioritizing their own finances, you know, above other people's, whether it be saving for their kids' college when they aren't funding their own retirement, or during the holiday season. You know, what are some things that you did to help manage expectations from family, friends, or maybe even that you put on yourself, you know, to ultimately kind of help you deal with that and help you kind of prioritize your own finances?
You know, I can say my mother, Viola Dickerson, was a smart woman. I mean, and she was always about, look, son, you got to have something before a rainy day. You can't take care of everybody. You can't take all of us. You can't take care of me. I'm old, but you can't do all these things. And even though I wanted to, and I did it, you know, up to my mother passed away. But you have to have someone that really has your back, that sees the big picture, the picture that, look, you're gonna have a life outside of us, outside of me, and you've got to prepare for that life. It's hard at times. It's hard to say no, but you know, like I say, if you get the right people in front of you, like I've had my guy Dick Frankel for years. I mean, since I was probably in my 20s, you know, early 20s. And look, I mean, like I said, I didn't make a whole lot of money. I didn't. I thank God I've been able to maintain what I've had over my whole football career. I mean, I've lived in my house here in Calabasas for 35 years. It really depends on how you think, you know, how you're willing to make the sacrifices that you're willing to make. You know, if you have kids, because a lot of, you know, as a young athlete, if you're not thinking about, I want to get married and have kids, that's the last thing you think about. It really is. Let me tell you something. Football money is hard-earned money. It's hard to earn it. It really is. I mean, people may think it's easy, but you earn every dime. You earn every dime, especially, you know, in my era, you sure did. And even now, because, you know, after the game is over and then all the cheering and stuff is over, man, you know what you left with? You left with a shell of yourself. You're not the same person you went in. Like, I don't care if you play 5 years, if you play 10, you just not. I mean, I won't forget when I retired for the first year and a half, I just sleep sitting up in a chair or on a recliner because of my neck. I couldn't lay down. I mean, that's stuff people don't know. You see, they don't see that part of it. They don't see that part of life. But you want to be able to take care of yourself or have some way of taking care of yourself and your family, if you have a family, after you retire from football. And you hear all these sad stories. I mean, to me, it's really sad when I hear about the guys now who have made, let's say, excess of 20 to 30 million dollars in a career. I mean, the $100 million guys is just stupid. I mean, that's just being dumb. I mean, I'm like, if I was going to have $100 million contract, and let's cut it in half. Let's just say half of it goes to the government. If I could be stupid, I'll say, oh, you know what? I'm gonna put $10 million away, and I'm gonna be foolish with the rest. I wouldn't be broke. I guarantee you that. So, it just, like I said, it really depends on the individual and their mind thought.
So I guess last question for me, and then we got some awesome ones from the audience. What are some things, outside of what we talked about so far, what are some key lessons that when you talk to, young players, maybe, first year in the league, just getting in the league, what are some of the lessons that you kind of tell them and, some of the things that you drop on them?
Well, I can say for young players that's coming into the National Football League, I'll give you both. I'll give you kids that I've talked to that are D1, what we used to call them blue chips, but they call them D1 players now, the top players in the nation, all that kind of stuff. I was in Seattle a couple of years ago, and it was a room full of about 50 players. And these are all the players, the top players in the state of Washington. And so they asked me, I want to say something. I said, no, I don't want to, but I will if you want to say, well, you talk to them. We asked them, ask them questions. I talked to them. I'm like, okay. So I said, I'm gonna ask you guys a question first. I said, I'm gonna ask everyone in here. I said, how many of you guys think you're gonna play professional football? Everybody raised their hand. I just started laughing. I said, man, I don't want to be, they say, I don't want to be Debbie Downer to you guys. I said, but out of 50 of you guys in this room, I said, maybe 3 of you may make it, maybe 5, maybe. And I'm saying that maybe and maybe none. I said, that is how hard it is to play in the National Football League. I mean, it really is that hard to make it and make a career out of it. Yeah, you might get a practice squad, might get a tryout. It's just that hard. And I'm gonna tell you something. I really believe, I know this for a fact. It's all about the man upstairs. I believe that wholeheartedly. If that's God's will for you, that will happen. And it's guys who have less talent and they play more. You like, how he stay in the league? He ain't got no talent, but he's been around 10 years for some reason. Then you got guys that's really talented, like how he didn't make it. I just don't see that. But hey, I said it's just the man upstairs, and it's your drive also. And I tell guys that's in the league, that's playing, I said, man, look, I'm gonna tell you something. I told Todd Gurley this, and I told Adrian Peterson this when they came in. I will never forget. I told Adrian when I saw him. I met Adrian the first time when he first got drafted. Met him right in Santa Monica at an NFL event, and he asked me, what should I look out for? I said, Adrian, I'm gonna say you one thing. What you gonna look out for? I said, Father Time. I said, gets us all. I said, right now you are just got drafted. I said, but remember this, you're gonna look up and you're gonna be in your 5th and 6th year and you're gonna be like, where did all the time go? I said, remember I told you that. And I saw him probably about 4 or 5 years after. And he said, Eric, remember you said to me? I said, well, by far. He said, yes. He said, where's all the time go? I said, Adrian, it goes fast. And I told Todd Gurley the same thing. I said, Todd, man, you're gonna look up and it's gonna be your 5th year. It's gonna be your 6th year. I mean, that's just how it is. But I tell all of them, man, make the best of the situation you have, because I mean, it's such a blessing to be able to play something you love as a kid. I mean, think about, I think anybody on this screen, especially all the guys and some of the girls too, ladies, want to play sports. I mean, and you get a chance to play something you love. If it's football, if it's soccer, if it's baseball, it's basketball. Imagine, think about getting a scholarship, going to college, and doing something that you love to do. If you love sport, imagine, man, you got like, man, this is the greatest job in the world. I love this. And that's how I felt about football. But man, I'm like, sorry about the motorcycle going by out here. I say, man, this is the greatest thing. And I get paid to do something. I'm just like elated. And I tell all of them, man, enjoy it, because it's gonna come a time where you're gonna look back. You're gonna like, where did it go? Like I look at all these helmets behind me, all these guys I played with, from Randall Cunningham, LT, Dexter Manley, Bruce Smith, Marcus Allen Mine, Anthony, what's the man's last name? I forgot. Anthony, some played for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, it's all Dan Marino down there. All these helmets back here. These are real helmets. The guys I played against. And now it's funny. We get together. I'm like, man, it's funny. We just a bunch of old men now, you know? And that's what it is. But I just tell guys to just enjoy the moment.
That's awesome. So speaking of the helmets, one of the questions we got from the audience is which one's your favorite? Because I see all the awesome helmets behind you.
Which one's my favorite? I got to say, I probably have 3 favorite helmets here. The one you see right here, this SNU Mustang helmet, that's my original SNU Mustang helmet. Yeah, I played in college. You know, that's the original face mask, the face mask that everybody wears now. And look at the padding in this thing. Can you see that? Look at that.
Yeah, that's not how they look these days.
That's like the 1920. And for sure, my high school helmet. They put this face mask on, but this isn't the original one. This is my high school helmet. And, you know, for sure, my Ram helmet right here behind me. My Los Angeles Rams helmet. You know, that's the ones. I think for the players are giving me helmets, Dan Marino, because I'm a big Dan fan. We came on the same draft. I got one up here from Joe Montana. I got Bruce Smith, you know, LT, Ricky Jackson, Walter Payton down. I mean, I got a lot of them. I'm just really proud of them. Thank God that I play with guys like that. To me, you know, it's funny to me when guys call me a legend, I don't get it. I'm sorry. That's just not me. But to me, like a guy like Walter, my friend Walter Payton, was a true legend of the game. I mean, really. And guys like Jim Brown, you know, even before me, you know. So, but I'm proud of the stuff I have.
Awesome. So the next question we got from the audience is, what have you enjoyed most about your post-NFL career?
Well, I have to say my kids. And honestly, that's probably it. I mean, I had a daughter when I was playing football. Couldn't appreciate it, really. I mean, really didn't appreciate it, you know, and I really appreciate her now more than ever. I got a granddaughter. We have a granddaughter. I have 2 young kids. I have a daughter, Carrie, that's 15. I have a son that's 8. You know, I'm like I said, old man with young kids. But man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. It's the best, and it's funny when you see your kids in yourself, especially my son. I mean, and man, I got to say, we didn't plan on having any more kids, but when he came, it was like a boy. Okay, wow, and he's so much like me in so many ways. I mean, he's fast as I don't know what. And I say this, I said. People ask me, well, you think he's gonna play football? I said, look, man, I don't put that pressure on. I would never put that pressure on my son. I mean, if he wants to play football, he loves it. He wants to play football. I let him pick and choose his destiny. But I'm never going to do that to him. Just like my daughter. My daughter's really talented. She's a great artist. She's fast. She can run too. My oldest daughter, she works for her mom's company, Beauty. All the women know what Beauty Blender is. So I can see, if you say Beauty Blender to women, they know, oh, Beauty Blender, oh yeah. So she's the face of Beauty Blender, and she's a mom. But man, for sure, I got to say, my kids. I mean, and I didn't have an appreciation for it really until after I stopped playing, and then I really got my older daughter even better, and then having a new set of kids, it changes everything. And you know, people say that, you know, you do stuff for your kids. I didn't get that at first. You know, being a young dad at 27 years old, but I get it now. I mean, everything is for your children.
That's awesome. All right, next question. What lessons have you learned through playing sports that you're able to carry over to your charity work?
That it's not always about you. It's not about you all the time. You have to. I've always been big believer in helping other people. I've never thought I was better than anyone. That's never been my motto. My dad had a saying, son, treat people the way you want to be treated. And I've lived by that motto. I really am. And people who know me, you know, have met me, you know, I mean, you might call me in a bad mood. Usually my mood, I'm pretty much upbeat. You know, I'm the same guy. I mean, I'm the same guy that you see here on the screen. I'll talk to anybody. You know, I'm very personal. I don't think that, oh, I played pro football, you got to stay away, I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, man, come on. That don't mean nothing. You know, I'm just that guy.
That's awesome. Okay, so on the flip side, someone wants to know, what's your biggest money mistake?
Oh gosh, you got another hour? Man, I did a bunch of them. Are you kidding me? I think one time, like I said, you got to get in stuff that you know stuff about. And I'll make the story short. I got into a real estate deal that the guy was not what it seemed. And honestly, even other people that were savvy people kind of got scammed. And I won't forget, man, I would not let go. I wouldn't let go. Like people, they were selling off like 20 cents on the dollar and, 50 cents on I'm like, man, bump that. I mean, and I had over $1 million in this crap. And I was like messed up behind it. And I gotta say, I won't forget, it's just year after year, you can say, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it. And I just waited and waited, and I just kept believing that. I said, God is not gonna do me like this. I said, I don't believe it. And I just wait. I'm serious. Instead of having the patience of Job, that went on for about 8 years. And I had the patience. I don't know how I had fought through it, but I ended up getting my money back plus. And I just thank God for that. So I could say, getting stuff you know something about. If you don't know nothing about it, stay away from it.
All right, this should be another good one. What's your favorite trash talking moment?
Oh, my favorite trash. Oh my gosh. I had a couple of those. I had one where when we played the Houston Oilers, when I broke the record, we played the Oilers here in Anaheim, and I needed 215 yards to break that record that day. And the thing was, we probably get, so we probably get like 180, 190, because Houston wasn't real good against the run. And then the next week we'll play the 49ers and we'll break it in San Francisco. So I'm like, okay, so the game's going on. I won't forget, me and a defensive back named Dave Bostic, big defensive back, man, we were at it too. And I guess there was a linebacker. I'm talking about at it, like talking. And one guy, David, said something to me, and I won't forget, he hit me late, and I got up. I said, I tell you what, you mother. I said, I'm going to break this record on y'all's asses today. It's going to happen today. I'm going back to hell. I said, you hear me? It's happening today. I said, I'm going to put 215 on y'all today. I did put 215 on that day. So that was one of my really, and I wasn't a talker. I wasn't big on talking. I just played, just kind of just did my thing.
That's awesome. What's the first thing that you bought or did with your first NFL paycheck?
Well, the first big thing I bought, now I'll tell you, I always wanted this. I built my mother a home in Texas. I was able to build, because we grew up in a shotgun house. And I always wanted her to have this is my saying, no offense, I'm just saying, I would say I wanted to have a house like the white people had. And one of my friends named Kevin Kubrick, he had a nice house, a nice brick home. And I wanted to have a house like that. And that was the first big thing I bought. The first thing I bought, I won't forget, it was a Christmas gift, was, as I said, back in them days, a black man's Mercedes-Benz, a Cadillac. So I bought my mother a Cadillac for a Christmas gift, a 1983 Coupe de Ville Cadillac, red and white. That was the first thing. I had a big bow put on. I bought her that. And then I started building her house. I put my mom first. Put God first, but I put her right. Everything I did for her. And even at the end, because she said, I want you to stop playing. She said, I can tell you don't love it like you used to. I said, I still like it. She said, no, but I want you to stop playing. She said, because I was really, in a sense, she said, I know you're playing for me. In a sense, I was playing for her, just to be able to do stuff for her. But that was my splurge. Then I bought a mink coat later. So I don't know why I bought a damn mink coat.
Did you pull it off if you're going to buy the mink coat?
Yeah, I don't know why I bought that mink coat. I wore it a couple times too. We lost to the Bears in the NFC Championship game. I wore it to Chicago. I even asked my friend Jim Hill to hold it. I said, Jim, hold this for me. He said, I said, you can wear it on the sidelines. But yeah, I bought a mink coat.
Awesome. So last question. I know you're involved with charity work, and then you have a book coming out next year. Can you kind of hit on those a little bit so that way everyone knows about them?
The charity I'm working with is Young Warriors Charity. It's fatherless boys without fathers, grew up without dads, and I do love it. I love seeing the how the boys have really grown a lot through the program, and how they just have become young men, because think about it, that is our future. Young kids, young men, and then now we're starting the Young Warriors for girls also, because I just feel like, girls need a man in their life. I know it's different when I'm not here with my kids, my son, my daughter. When dad's around, it's a lot different.
Awesome. And
it was another part. I'm sorry. What was the last part of the question? It was another part that I didn't answer.
Yeah, the book you have coming out next year.
Oh, the book part. It'll come out next football season, maybe by the end of the season. It tells a lot. it tells a lot. I mean, it tells my story. I mean, and I say my story. I mean, I'm not cutting any corners with it. I mean, it's what I saw. It's what I've lived through playing in the National Football League. My life story. The things that I believe. The things that the way I was treated.
Interesting. So yeah, that's obviously unfortunate. So I guess
you can't say that after that, can you? Like, huh?
Yeah, but can't wait for the book. Any closing words before we wrap up here?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me, and I just want to tell you this: that I was blessed by God to play a sport that I love so much, and all the stuff you can't even see in here, all the memories that I have of playing professional football. I wish that I could play now in SoFi Stadium, being a young Eric Dixon at 22 years old. See what it'd be like coming out with no crowd, but you'll have a crowd sooner or later. But I'll just say thank you for watching, and all you Ram fans. Thank you for supporting myself and also the Los Angeles Rams. And go Rams! Let's win tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for everyone attending. Game starts at 5:20 or 8:20 Eastern in my time zone at SoFi Stadium. Also, events like this are just one aspect of member benefits with SoFi. You can also get access to career coaching, get that raise, financial planners, and so on. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you.